Drake didn't just lose a rap battle, he may have lost a $500 million legacy move. What started as lyrical warfare between two titans has now unraveled into lawsuits, contract chaos, and the biggest business plot twist hip-hop's seen in years. Because if Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us really cost Drake $500 million, then this isn't just about bars anymore, it's about power, sabotage, and the future of the industry. Drake was standing on the edge of a legacy shift, $500 million on the table from Sony, a new chapter beyond UMG, and all signs pointing toward his next era. He'd already paid back a jaw-dropping $400 million advance. That alone made headlines. But the real story? What happened next? Just as Drake was reportedly fielding Sony's $500 million offer, something shifted. Kendrick Lamar, silent for years, re-emerged with a vengeance. Not Like Us dropped like a nuclear bomb, and suddenly, Drake's momentum was rattled. Now here's where things get wild. According to insiders, Drake's lawsuit isn't just about lyrics, it's about leverage. His camp claims UMG may have allowed or even encouraged Kendrick's timing to undercut his value, forcing Drake to come crawling back instead of walking away with Sony's mega deal. The implication? Kendrick's diss wasn't just personal, it was corporate sabotage. And if that's true, we're talking about the most high-stakes rap chess move in history. But here's the thing, none of it explains one burning question. If $500 million was on the table, why didn't Drake take the deal before the beef even started? The $500 million offer from Sony was more than a paycheck, it was an escape route. A clean break from UMG, a chance to start fresh, own the next phase of his career, and leave the politics behind. So why didn't Drake sign? According to the lawsuit, he was using the Sony offer as leverage, intending to return to UMG and say, match this or I walk. Classic negotiation chess. But the move backfired, hard. UMG didn't just reject the bluff, the claim is, they flipped the board. By allegedly letting Kendrick drop those career-shaking disses, UMG may have tanked Drake's perceived value right when he needed it at its highest. The math gets murky from here. If the Sony deal really existed, why wouldn't they still want him? One diss record can't erase a decade of hits, a streaming empire, and global influence, right? Unless, and this is the dangerous part, perception outweighed performance. Suddenly Drake didn't look untouchable. Suddenly he looked vulnerable. And in the eyes of billion-dollar executives, vulnerability means risk. So again, why didn't he sign that Sony deal the moment it landed? That silence is louder than any lyric. And if you've been following this unraveling story, or you're just now realizing how deep this goes, hit that subscribe button. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, and your click keeps this conversation going. Drake's lawsuit doesn't say Kendrick's bars hurt his feelings. It says they hurt his valuation. That's a massive shift. The claim is that UMG, fearing Drake might jump ship for Sony's $500 million deal, allowed or even orchestrated Kendrick's lyrical assault to hit at the perfect moment. Not to defend artistry, not for culture, but to crush Drake's leverage and keep him in the system. And the example Drake's team allegedly points to? Mariah Carey. Back when Tommy Mottola, her ex, reportedly pushed J-Lo to drop a competing hit just to weaken Mariah's market strength. Dirty industry politics, recycled for 2025. The idea, if UMG could pull off something that cold before, maybe they did it again. But here's where it unravels. If this was truly about sabotage, why would Drake engage in the battle at all? Why jump in, trade verses, escalate it, and fuel the fire? If your net worth is on the line, if Kendrick was bait, why bite? That's the paradox. Either Drake underestimated the risk, or believed he could win both the battle and the bag. Instead, he may have lost both. The moment this beef hit the courtroom, hip-hop crossed a line it never had before. Drake's legal team didn't just file a lawsuit, they made lyrics the center of their argument. Now the judge isn't just reviewing contracts or streaming numbers, they're reviewing rap verses. Every bar, every insult, every metaphor is being treated like potential defamation, like legal ammunition. The court reportedly even asked for the full lyrics from the entire battle. Drake's side resisted, arguing they weren't necessary, but the judge wasn't having it. If your whole case hinges on damage done through lyrics, the logic goes, then we need to see the damage. That puts art on trial, and that's a dangerous precedent. Because if Kendrick's verse can be framed as legal sabotage, then every future diss track could come with a lawyer on standby. Labels might start muzzling artists before they go at each other. Rap battles. The heartbeat of hip-hop culture might now carry lawsuit risks. It's no longer just what you say, it's what it's worth. And that's a scary place for an art form built on speaking truth, no matter how messy. Drake's entire case hinges on this. That one diss record, Not Like Us, single-handedly slashed his market value. That a verse could be so damaging, so viral, so culturally lethal, that it cost him $500 million. And while that sounds outrageous, it's not impossible. Because that song didn't just win fans, it became a cultural moment. TikTok exploded, memes flooded every feed, DJs spun it in clubs, not as music, but as mockery. And when public opinion starts shifting, boardroom opinions often follow. The narrative: Drake wasn't untouchable anymore, he was targetable. But here's the flaw. Rap battles have always been part of the game. Nas didn't sue Jay. Pusha didn't sue Drake. The unwritten rule is, if you enter the arena, you accept the blows. So to argue that a single track destroyed a 9-figure opportunity feels thin, unless the damage wasn't just cultural, but contractual. If execs feared the allegations in the song more than the bars themselves, that's where value truly crumbles. So the question becomes, did one record really destroy the Drake brand? Or did Drake stepping into battle make it possible at all? What makes this entire saga even murkier is the timeline. According to Drake's narrative, the $500 million Sony deal was on the table before the Kendrick battle even began. If that's true, why not take it then? Why risk it all on a rap war when the money was already there? That's the part no one, not even Drake's closest allies, can fully explain. The lawsuit frames Kendrick's diss as a turning point, but by that logic, the offer predated the diss, meaning Drake chose to step into the fire after knowing how hot it could get. And if he knew a diss track was coming, if there were whispers behind the scenes about sabotage, why not lock in the bag first and deal with the fallout later? Because once Not Like Us dropped, everything changed. The culture shifted, the memes wrote themselves, and suddenly the artist, once seen as untouchable, was facing brand damage in real time. Deals don't just look at charts, they read the room. So maybe it wasn't just Kendrick's verse that cost Drake the deal. Maybe it was Drake's delay. At the heart of this story is a collision between hip-hop's raw, unfiltered culture and the polished, calculated world of corporate contracts. Rap battles were never meant to be clean. They're emotional, chaotic, unpredictable. That's the point. It's lyrical warfare, where the strongest pen wins. But once you bring lawyers into the booth, the rules change, and not for the better. Drake stepping into battle while in the middle of high-stakes negotiations turned a cultural tradition into a legal liability, and now the industry is watching closely. If a diss track can derail a multi-million-dollar deal, what happens next? Do labels start banning battles? Do artists hesitate to speak freely, fearing financial consequences? Drake's lawsuit may be about one verse, one rival, one missed deal, but the ripple effect is much bigger. He's not just suing over defamation, he's unintentionally putting hip-hop's freedom of expression on trial. If Kendrick's bars are considered damage in a legal sense, then battle rap itself becomes a risk, not a rite of passage. So now the question isn't just about Drake's money, it's about the future of the culture. Somewhere along the way, Drake's role in this saga shifted from mogul to martyr. In court documents, public statements, and fan discourse, there's a new framing that Drake was targeted, sabotaged, even sacrificed by the very system that helped build him. The man who once dominated the charts is now positioning himself as a victim of corporate betrayal and cultural defamation. But here's the problem. Martyrdom only works when the audience believes you are powerless. And Drake has never been powerless. He's been one of the most calculated, protected, and well-funded artists of the modern era. He had the money, the leverage, the team, and allegedly the $500 million deal. So how does someone with everything suddenly play the underdog card? That's where the narrative starts to crack. Fans aren't just questioning Kendrick's lyrics, they're questioning Drake's decisions. Did he miscalculate? Did he let ego override strategy? Did he think he could win the cultural war and close the corporate deal? Now, instead of sealing his next empire move, he's in court asking for sympathy, not from fans, but from judges. And that shift is hard to ignore. Hip-hop was built on battles. Lyrical warfare has always been the proving ground. But what happens when the battle leaves the booth and enters the courtroom? That's where we are now, and it's shaking the foundation. Drake's lawsuit doesn't just challenge Kendrick's words, it challenges the very nature of what a diss track can be in the modern industry. If Kendrick's Not Like Us is being treated as legal defamation, not just artistic expression, then every future rap beef now comes with legal risk. Artists might hesitate before dropping a bar that could land them in court. Labels might silence their talent to protect brand value. And fans, they'll feel that censorship. The irony? Drake helped elevate the art of sneak dissing and strategic jabs. Now he's trying to draw a line after being on the receiving end of one of the most viral takedowns in rap history. It's not about who rapped better anymore. It's about who crossed the invisible line and whether that line even should exist. What started as bars could redefine boundaries. At the center of it all is one haunting truth: the Sony deal is gone. Whether it was real, rumored, or inflated by hype, it's off the table now. And that changes everything. Drake, who once stood at the edge of a $500 million reinvention, is now locked in a legal battle, trying to explain why it disappeared. Was it Kendrick's diss? Was it UMG's interference? Or was it Drake's own hesitation that let the moment pass? Because here's the bottom line: if the offer was legitimate, it existed before the battle, which means Drake had a chance to grab it and run, to leave the politics, the pressure, and the petty wars behind. But instead, he doubled down on the mic. He fought the cultural fight and lost the corporate war. Now, with his new album's numbers underperforming and the courtroom becoming his stage, the leverage is gone, the power has shifted, and Drake, the architect of so many calculated moves, is facing the one thing even he couldn't predict: public doubt. Not about his talent, about his decisions. What started as a lyrical battle may go down as one of the most expensive chapters in hip-hop history. Drake's claim that a single diss track cost him a $500 million future has forced the entire culture to ask deeper questions, not just about loyalty and leverage, but about what happens when the music industry treats bars like liabilities. Whether you believe Kendrick's verse truly derailed the deal, or think Drake's hesitation played the biggest role, one thing is certain: this wasn't just about ego. It was about power, perception, and the billion-dollar business behind the beats. Now, with rap battles being analyzed by judges and labels watching every verse like a legal threat, we're entering uncharted territory. Hip-hop has always thrived on raw expression, but now that freedom could come with consequences. So what do you think? Was Drake truly sabotaged, or did he let the bag slip chasing a cultural win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading every one. And if you've made it this far, you're part of the 1% who's locked in. So hit like, subscribe, and help us hit that goal of 1,000 subscribers.